And now to bring us all the drama of this historic first grand final at Stadium Australia, the voice of rugby league, the one and only Ray Warren.
Thank you, Ken, as the F-18 from the Royal Australian Air Force does a fly past and a couple of fly pasts in front of this massive crowd, bordering on the 110,000 capacity. Steve Roach is on the sideline. He's got the best seat in the house, and he's with Laurie Daly and Paul Harrigan.
Yeah, Laurie, you've been here plenty of times, grand finals that is. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think it'll be very close, Blocker, but I just feel Melbourne's forward pack might have the edge over St George Illawarra, but it'll be a close game, and I just hope for Lazo's sake that Melbourne can win.
In Chief, talking about forward packs, a lot of people say that they win big matches. How do you see this one?
I think Melbourne forward pack is without a doubt their best asset, but St George Illawarra's style of play, Melbourne hate it, that athletic mobile pack with a lot of ad-lib. I think the forward pack, Melbourne's forward pack, will do a good job to stop it. I've tipped St George Illawarra. If they can actually play that style of football, they can beat the Storm, but their forwards, Melbourne's forwards, are their best asset.
Yeah, great atmosphere down here on the sideline, and for any side that can knock Parramatta out, I think there's some hope, the Melbourne Storms. The showers to continue this afternoon, 21 degrees. The only thing left to say, Ray, is bring it on.
Yeah, we get ready to rumble in a moment, Stephen. The boys are in the sheds and just about to be given the final instruction to take the field. The 1999 NRL Grand Final. The Storm come together. Ominous clouds overhead. I wonder, will they be over the top of St George at the end of this day? 104,583 people crammed into the Olympic Stadium to open rugby league for 1999. The biggest crowd here during the year was 107,042 for the Bledisloe Cup just a few weeks ago. The grand final crowd has already been eclipsed, 78,056 in 1965. Plenty of red and white. Melbourne well represented by the Hardy that have come via the, what do they call it now, the Hume Highway? Highway number 1 from Melbourne to Sydney. Thousands upon thousands of them have made the trek from the southern capital. An historic grand final. Melbourne, in their second year of rugby league, have made an incredible impact. How are they going down there at the Storm's training park in Melbourne? Good afternoon to you and welcome to our telecast. You're going to see something very special as Glenn Lazarus goes out at the head of the team. And in a grand final side for the 6th time, he's won 4, 2 with Canberra and 2 with Brisbane. Stephen Carney might think that he's a little bit lucky to be there after escaping any penalty from an incident in his game last weekend. But this is one of the true sporting stories of Australia. 2 years in the top grade. They brought them together from all over. The Storm of Melbourne, put together by John Rebo, Chris Anderson, Chris Johns, Glenn Lazarus, and they're in a grand final in only their second year. And of course this club, the Dragons, the St George Illawarra Dragons, in real terms are in their first year. The mighty St George have won 15 premierships, but this is the first one that the joint ventureship will have contested. Raging hot favourites, $1.45, and the red and whites are out on Stadium Australia. It'll be on this day in 12 months' time. The athletes from track and field will be the cynosure of all eyes, but not today. Glenn Lazarus and company are enjoying something that not too many have witnessed. There's the man, Anthony Mundine. 3 tries in the final last weekend. Kamali, the playmaker, the number 7 for Melbourne. Nine Illawarra players in the unit of 17. Young Lance Thompson will play in the second row. One of the internationals, Wayne Bartram. Try scorer from last weekend, Aaron Moole. We are standing by for the national anthem. Just an incredible atmosphere. The pictures tell the story best. Let's go to the national anthem now, to be performed by Hugh Jackman, who recently wowed the capacity audiences in London's West End in the role of Curly in Oklahoma. Here is Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman with the national anthem. We are almost ready for the start of the 1999 Grand Final, which is a further indication of the changing face of rugby league. In the last 11 premierships, 9 Grand Finals have featured out of Sydney sides, and 8 of the last 11 Grand Finals have been won by out of Sydney sides. We are not quite national, but we're as close as ever we've been. And we welcome Melbourne into rugby league history today. We welcome our viewers right around Australia, particularly you people in Melbourne, on the National 9 network, plus throughout Europe and the United Kingdom on Sky UK, Asia through Star TV, PNG on EMTV, and in New Zealand on Sky and TV3, plus our domestic pay TV services. Bill Harrigan in his 6th Grand Final. Chris Ward is the video referee. We are underway. They say that St George will be tested in the opening exchanges by the big Melbourne forwards. 3 of them in the first reception for Smith. Barrett away, a floater to Mundine. They try to go wide early. Just inside their own 20-metre line. With Ainscough, Player of the Year for the Dragons in their first year. Nathan Brown, also a man that we're told will be spotted heavily by the Melbourne defenders. Chris Lightvoll, forced back by Melbourne. Twice they've met this year, and twice St George have been dominating. To the left of the ground, and inside the 40 as the high shot shows you, this is the last tackle, and Brown puts a kick out on the full, a little show of Grand Final nerves. Opportunity smiles on Melbourne early. So Rodney Howe and Paul Marquette hit very hard. And the ball with St George Dragons with Blacklock. The Dragons coming back with possession. Craig Smith taking a buffeting from Glenn Lazarus and also from Stephen Kearney. Barrett then, cutting out a forward, goes to Mundine. Mundine back on the inside for Tracy. Now Timmins into Melbourne's area this time. Massive crowd on Grand Final day as Lightwell goes back into the Melbourne forwards. And Swain, the hooker for Melbourne, is very groggy. He nearly went down and stayed down. Melbourne have got one player down. McGregor tries a flick pass. Blacklock with it, taken down by Bye. Look at them! Look at them come in! 3 and 4 Melbourne Storm players in the tackle on Blacklock, whose confidence has been down. Barrett's kick, knocked down by Timmins, and Bill Harrigan will recall it for a scrum or a turnover 15 metres away from the Melbourne line.
And in the first 2.5 minutes, we've seen nothing unusual from the Dragons as Timmins really just knocked that ball on pretty much deliberately. We've got Tracy playing wide to the left, Bartram to the right. Some short side plays. There's Richard Swain leaving the field. He'll be back very shortly as Rodney Howe takes a 28 out from his own line.
Just a couple of showers during the day, probably making conditions a little bit difficult for the players in the handling area. Lazarus playing it to the right they go for Kamali. His kick going straight down to the Dragons' #1, Luke Patton. And there they are to meet him and greet him and put him away with Kearney. He's been involved in just about every tackle so far, particularly the kick returns. Stephen Kearney, the New Zealander, former Kiwi captain. He's very conspicuous. Now Tracy. Brown with the dummy, finding Mundine. 40-metre line, Storm's end of the park, centre ground. Likevol, Brown, Bartram. Bartram back from McGregor. Australian representative, 1994. Captain of the Dragons team on tackle 5. Barrett now. Trent Barrett's kick. Pressure over there, but not for Craig Smith. He got very good cover there from Geyer and Kamali.
Yeah, nice take there by Smith, and you can see St George Illawarra, they're one of the most potent attacking forces in the game. They haven't been content just to hit the ball up, as you would see in past grand finals. They're spinning the ball around, searching for gaps, and heading wide as soon as they can in the tackle count. Good run from Nick out.
Tawira to play the ball now on his own 30-metre line. Only he and Glenn Lazarus have played in grand finals. Tawira played in the 1997 Super League Grand Final. So they've only got the 2 on their list. And there they are with a kick going out on the full. And this will give the Dragons a chance off the boot of Brett Kamali.
Well, both kickers so far having problems. Nathan Brown put one out on the full from dummy half. Now Kamali with little pressure. One on the outside of the boot. It's really been all the Dragons the opening minutes of this game. Melbourne kicked early in the tackle count the first time they had the football. They're quite happy to stamp their mark on the game defensively.
So from the eastern side of the stadium, they come away and then they go back towards the blind side. Craig Smith, upon whom so much of the workload will hang today. Bartram is held by Howe. Lazarus goes in. And Ainscough from dummy half. It's worked for them against Melbourne before. Little dummy half plays. Now Lance Thompson might have been held back. There's a chance here for the Red and Whites. It still could have been a penalty because Lance Thompson got held back.
Yeah, a couple of the St George Illawarra players complaining to referee Bill Harrigan that was the case. He didn't see anything untoward. You can see him, he was held, well, fractionally. He got boot to ball, and then Darren Tracy raced through and just couldn't get there.
So from Robbie Ross, a dummy half, away for Kearney. Almost on the halfway line. The Goodyear blimp giving us the aerials today. And we thank them for their input during 1999. Nicker for Martin. McGregor putting away the much smaller Melbourne centre as Kamali puts a high kick down. A test here for Patton, but Patton marks it in goal. Back to the 20-metre line for the restart. He'll be happy that he's got rid of that one, Luke Patton, diffusing an in-goal bomb.
Come on, let's go.
Nathan Brown then. Assembling his forwards. And it is Tracy who plays it just inside the 30-metre line. Craig Smith takes it up the second time. Melbourne with 2 grand finalists in their team and St George with 6. So they outnumber them there. But internationals in the Melbourne side, number 7. In the St George side, 4. Mundine tried to trick them there with a little dummy. And Nick out was that put him away. But here they come, the Dragons with Barrett. Just inside the 30-metre line. Bartram, players on the short side, rolls it down to Robbie Ross. That was a hard take for Ross. And Bartram makes the tackle on the Melbourne full-back.
And the rain is starting to make conditions difficult out there. Quite a few players losing their footing. It wasn't just a difficult take for Robbie Ross with the ball bouncing through, but he found it hard to get going once he had the football. As Glenn Lazarus, another charge. Mistake-free start from both teams. Apart from kicks out on the full. Rodney Howe takes it 38 out.
Steve Roach on the sideline. There's nobody trying harder than Glenn Lazarus in both attack and defence. He's been prominent.
Yeah, I think he's been outstanding. The thing that stuck out for mine is St George Illawarra. They keep targeting Matt Guy. He's had to make a lot of tackles early in this match.
Oh, Patton coming back to a hard reception. Tawira got him with a shoulder. Ainsko on for Blacklock. Marcus Byes all over him. Here's the hit on Luke Patton from Tawira Nikau. Ainsko away from acting half. Now Ward. Colin Ward on for his first time in the game. Brown to the right. Barrett. A high kick. Ross is moving urgently underneath it nicely. Then using his winger Craig Smith. Now for Guy. Brad Mackay. Last game, and he's waiting to come into the game. Australian representative. Aaron Moore. And Ben Roarty is also about to come into the game. Chris Anderson and David Waite using their interchange. And they'll be using it a lot during the next 70 minutes of this game, which is now 9.5 old. Territory-wise, possession-wise, it's been St George. Lazo comes off. Thompson. Using up a lot of petrol in defence, Melbourne. Nathan Barnes also off for a rest period with Ward now outside the 40-metre line. Nikau's tackle up high. That would have hurt. Swain is back on. He seems to be okay.
Barrett just inside his 40, looking for a 40-20 kick. Should stop up, allowing Ross to get across. I do think that Melbourne have got to be a little bit more adventurous with the football. They can't rely on one-out stuff. They look much better when they do get the ball too wide into the smaller St George defence, George Illawarra defence.
.61 tackles made by Melbourne, 38 by the Dragons. Roarty in an arm wrestle over there with the Dragons defenders. Kamali, Gaia, St George Illawarra right up in their face. Nikau, Kamali, kicking for Martin out wide, but Patton is there. Just a little juggle. Put down back on his own 20-metre line. 10 minutes into a grand final, Laurie Daly. The nerves gone by this time. You've only got one thing on your mind, getting across the line.
Yeah, exactly right. Although both sides at this stage, Ray, are just content to just play one up and work for a good kick-chase game.
Laurie Daly on the sideline with Steve Roach, Paul Harrigan, Paul Vorton in the box with Peter Sterling. 5 of the really great footballers of the modern era. Mundine finding the line. No score. 11.5 minutes gone.
Well, it is very much all steady as she goes for both sides. On a couple of occasions, they have created overlaps. The players have been much more concerned about not making a mistake And as Laurie pointed out, just getting into a position to get a good kick away. That time Mundine was the man who took on the responsibility. He wasn't far outside his own 40. Smith had a great start once again.
Gaia. This is Matty Rua, taken down by his opposite number, Fitzgibbon and Bartram. As Melbourne again work it away from the 20-metre line. And Bill Harrigan's found a knock on. Here's a good chance for the Dragons.
Yeah, big three-man tackle there, and Rodney Howe felt like get possession from the scrum, only 25 metres out.
The players congratulating Wayne Bartram. Getting in low, driving, spinning. The impact along with Mackay forcing the ball loose.
So, are the first points coming in this play? Barrett, Mundine. Melbourne's 20-metre line. They've been under pressure before in the game, but that was earlier. They've done a lot of work since then. Mackay, Bartram, he's been in splendid form and he's about 5 metres from the line. Mackay waiting. Harrigan refusing to penalise. Mundine, Timmins. Moole around the legs and Gaia coming in. Nicow making sure the player got up last. Now Mundine, a grabbing kick. They'll score! Fitzgibbon is over. Is there a question of offside? No! He points to the spot. First try of the grand final. Craig Fitzgibbon.
Well, it came from a mistake from Rodney Howe, and the Dragons have taken full advantage. This was the tackle, a combination of Mackay and Bartram, and the second kick of the game from Anthony Mundine. It's come up goal. He frees it there. That was the player, Fitzgibbon. It was very marginal, and there is absolutely no one in the area where Mundine aimed. As play continued, Robbie Ross, too much ground to cover, and Fitzgibbon, he hasn't been on long, but he gets the first.
What a great start. He's been heavily involved today, Anthony Mundine, right from the start. Some deft passes, and that's a great little kick. And the reaction time, well, there was no reaction time because it was such a good kick right under the post. The centres and wingers out wide just couldn't get there. They turned and just could only look on in horror as Fitzgibbon scores the opening try in the 99 grand final.
And obviously Bill Harrigan must have got a call from his touch judges that there was no problem with Fitzgibbon being onside. I must admit, when you see one of those go through, your first thought is, well, was he behind the kicker? But no doubt from the officials, Bartram should make it 6, and does.
So the Dragons converting the try. 6-0, the try coming at the 14th minute, Steve Roach.
Yeah, and what an impact Craig Fitzgibbon has had on this game. He was involved in that tackle that loosened the football from Melbourne Storm, the short kicking game, and this is his first touch right under the post.
Kamali restarts. This is Colin Ward on the way back. Roarty hangs on. Wishart is on in 17. This is him running the short side from dummy half. Barrett. Oh, Lance Thompson is knocked on 32 metres away from his own line.
So Rodney Howe at one end, Lance Thompson, the other two players with very good hands normally. Just had a little look there, didn't he? Lance Thompson. And look at Ben Roarty standing in front of him, waiting to tackle him. Ethan Brown prepares to come back on. So the Storm now, they get the chance to hit back.
The Ansett Australia Grand Final. 6-0 in favour of St George Illawarra. Robbie Ross into the back line. Commercial free on the 9 network here in Australia. Moole. Matt Geyer to acting half for Rodney Howe on the left of the ground. Now they're towards the centre. Richard Sway. Kamali. Nicow. Second man play. Martin has got it. Referee says play on. Nicow. Kamali. Roarty. Strong defence from Mackay and Fitzgibbon. Kamali again, grubbing kick, and St George, yes, it's going to be a 20-metre restart. That was very cool from Luke Patton.
He may be the youngest player on show this afternoon, but cool head there. Luke Patton just getting his body in the right position to shepherd any chasers coming through. And that's a big play. Big difference between a 20-metre restart and a line dropout.
Fitzgibbon again, he's had an auspicious entry into the grand final, hasn't he? From a distance, he can be mistaken for the captain, Paul McGregor. Bartram, there's been no mistake, though, as far as the coverage is concerned. It has been Craig Fitzgibbon in both attack and defence. Knocked on by Wishart. Another opportunity comes Melbourne's way in good field position.
They lost their way there, St George Illawarra. Some good hit-ups early to make them 20 metres. Then they went sideways for the next 3 tackles. Wayne Bartram went sideways a tackle before. This pass to no one. Very hard for Rod Wishart to get down and pick that up. They're giving the ball back to Storm once again.
Let's take a special comment in the first half of play in just a moment as they go wide from Robbie Ross. Paul Harrigan, the Newcastle captain from '97.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the Melbourne Storm, even when they shift the ball, they're just straight 3-pass to 2-pass shift. There's no bodies in motion, no angles, and not put any questions at all with their play. On the other hand, St George Illawarra, they've got plenty of bodies and movement. They're putting a real question to Melbourne Storm. Melbourne have got to get some real action there.
Rodney Howe then takes it to within 12 metres of the line. Melbourne with a chance. Kamali. There's a punch up in back play. To the right of the ground goes Melbourne. Rodney Howe puts a kick in, a rebound. It's back with Melbourne. They put another kick in, and it'll be a 20-metre restart.
Well, I know Rodney Howe's had some success kicking the football on a couple of occasions this year, but that was not time to try a grubber kick for himself. He had men on the outside. Kamali threw the dummy, went himself. There was a little bit of a dust-up on the side between Barrett and Nicow. McGregor came in to calm things down. From the next play, Rodney Howe, if he'd have just passed, they did have some numbers to the right-hand side.
Bartram coming to the bench as the Dragons through Likevol bring it away 35 from their own line. Brown, just a half break. He beat the markers, he got between them.
There are going to be plenty of players changing their studs at half-time, putting the longer ones in.
Mackay, first grand final at Stadium Australia and the last grand final of the millennium. This kick is for the winger on the left of the ground, who I think's onside. Now they beat him with a pass. And the ball is loose.
Oh, good tackle from Sean Timmins. Jolted the ball from Craig Smith.
I think he actually might have tried to steal it. It was a one-on-one tackle. Timmins goes in. No, it's just a good solid shoulder. And Smith's dropped it. You can't afford to make those errors. The last time Melbourne made one down here, St George Illawarra scored.
15 away from the line. Mundine launches the attack. Timmins taken down by Martin. Wishart. Now Smith. 2 Craig Smiths in the game. Front row for St George and the wing for Melbourne. Fitzgibbon. Brown. Likevol. Lazarus over the top. Hanging on as long as he can. Brown for Mundine. Mundine out wide for Tracy. Ball is loose. Melbourne have got it and they may have knocked on. I think they did.
Harrigan says they have. I just got my doubts as to the ball that came back on the inside from Tracy as to whether it went forward. It's knocked out by one of the Melbourne players.
And then it went backwards, but then it was knocked on as the player from Melbourne dived on it. So I've got no problems here. He's given the scrum feed to the Dragons. They go to the blind. Barrett for Mundine. Interesting play that. Mundine was on the left wing. Now Brown. Smith. Question being, is Anthony Mundine okay? I think he is. Now, again, handling becomes a problem.
Yeah, had to be a penalty. Danny Williams pulled the ball loose and tackled Craig Smith. What a game he's had. He's been in everything.
And good refereeing there from Bill Harrigan again. Sorry, Paul. He got a call from a touch judge. He asked him, was it bad enough for a penalty? The touchy said yes. He was knocked out deliberately. And that's the first penalty coming after 20 minutes.
Well, looking at those stands, look at them. They're absolutely packed. There's only just a few vacant seats. I've got no doubts that they've got here a record crowd for Stadium Australia, and they've got a record rugby league crowd at the same time. Yesterday in Melbourne they had 98,000, and today, with our expected crowd of around 110,000, will be the second time only that a rugby league grand final has outnumbered a VFL or AFL grand final. It happened once in 1943, and it's happened again in 1999. Long time between drinks, I know that, Melbourne, but we're very, very proud of it. The fact that we have a stadium now that will house a crowd in excess of 100,000 people. Fitzgibbon, and he's got this straight between the big sticks. It's all red and white. 8-0 St George Illawarra. Mark Coyne watching on from the sideline.
Yeah, we were talking to Mark earlier. He said it was a bittersweet day for him. Very tough to watch the guys over the last couple of weeks, especially seeing he has been fit to play for the last 3 or 4. Paul, would you agree that if Melbourne continue to attack in the same fashion, they can't win this game?
Yeah, well, they're not doing much of the football at all, are they? They're just running one out. Even when they go wide, they're very flat, extremely flat, and not running onto the ball with any gusto at all. So they wanted to change their plans at half-time.
McGregor now. Barrett, a little short handoff there for Likevol. They're back on their own 20-metre line. Parramatta having a resounding victory in the First Division final over Balmain. Canterbury winning the Jersey flag. Congratulations to both of them, as Craig Smith comes away to be met again by the familiar frame of Glenn Lazarus. He has a chance here today, Glenn, of being the only player ever to play in 3 grand finals, 3 winning grand finals for 3 different clubs. It's not looking all that attractive at the moment. As Robbie Ross is tackled, we go to the sideline. Stephen Roach.
Yeah, well, all the talk about the Melbourne Storm forwards coming out and putting the bash on the St George Dragons. They just haven't been able to get into the game. St George Dragons going wide at every opportunity they can and leaving the Melbourne Storm forwards standing flat-footed.
Lazarus rolling it down to the halfway line. Hope you're enjoying the telecast wherever you're watching it around Australia and across the world. It's marvellous to think we're going live through Europe and the United Kingdom, Asia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Patton coming back to the 20-metre line. And he's hurt, is he? Yes, very gingerly to his feet. Wishart then runs at Tony Martin to be pulled down. There's the problem for Luke Patton. Fitzgibbon away. 38 metres out from his own line. We have 8-0 on the grand final scoreboard. The Ansett Australia grand final scoreboard is 8-0 in the Dragons' favour.
It does not look good for Luke Patton. As Mundine goes the blind side, trainer immediately gestured to the bench that they were bringing him off. What a shame, because he's had a promising
I would be
start.
surprised, Peter, as I invite a comment for you, I would be surprised if they put Blacklock back there. Marcus Bai did well under pressure. Now Melbourne counter-punch. Tony Martin beautifully pulled down by Craig Fitzgibbon. What a game!
Tackle of the century, that one. He was away, Tony Martin. And the second rowers pulled him down. It was a try-saver. There was no fullback. Luke Patton was down and out. Good ball from Marcus Bai. Better one from Robbie Ross. And look at the big lumbering second rower. He's got over there just in the nick of time.
Yeah, good counter-punch there from Melbourne. That's what they need more of. Be a little bit adventurous. Fitzgibbon, we said earlier, he's a player of the future. pretty good breeding. His father played in a successful winning side in '69 with Balmain, and there's the unfortunate side of the game. Luke Patton has picked up a leg injury, knee or ankle you would imagine. Got hit, just a fairly conventional tackle from two players, Bowden and Marquette, and there you can see, oh, wasn't that conventional at all, was it? Leg bent underneath. And now the decision to be made as to who will take the fullback role. I hope they go Blacklock. I don't think he's got too many problems under the high ball, despite what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
So Patton coming off. Craig Fitzgibbon, of course. Peter talked about his dad. He was the Illawarra's foundation coach. Very popular Wollongong identity, Alan Fitzgibbon. He was with Balmain at one stage, I fancy. Yes, he was in that grand final in '69 that you spoke about. And Cronulla Sutherland, I think, as well, in a coaching capacity. Problems, though, for Luke Patton, and we don't expect that he'll be back in this game. Now, the reconstruction of the St George side is the point that I made. Blacklock has been anything but confident.
Maybe Ainscough, Ray.
Ainscough to fullback. Mundine. Brought down on the 40-metre line. As they go down the short side again with Craig Smith. Brad Mackay. They do a lot of dummy half running. But even Melbourne will tell you that they have trouble against this style of St George play. Ainscough at first receiver for Barrett. Back now for Blacklock. Blacklock shovels it away. McGregor fends off Martin. Holds Kamali at bay. They come again to put him down. 21 metres away from the line. Running towards the southern end. Fitzgibbon an offload. Smith is there. Smith is inside the 10. The last tackle now for the red and whites. And the pass was long and low. It is Melbourne's ball.
Yes, good stuff there from the St George Illawarra team. Just that last pass was pretty ordinary, but the good lead up. And something that the Dragons are doing is they're getting plenty of offloads and good second phase play. And that's allowing them to create some holes and get through some half gaps. Oh, that's, well, I was going to say it's better from Kearney. At least someone, he looked for some support. There was none there. They look very flat, don't they, Melbourne?
Very flat, and I'm happy to say Blacklock has gone back to fullback as Marcus Pye gets a good offload away to Richie Swain. He's tackled 10 out, doing it tough, getting out of their danger end.
Craig Smith with blood gushing from a wound over the left eye. Doesn't matter, he's on pursuit of this kick down the ground, and it's Blacklock. Now he will blood bin Craig Smith.
Got too much clarity.
Nasty wound. 8-0 St George. And under 12 minutes of the first half to go. Grey day in Sydney. We've been very lucky though. There's only been a couple of showers. Thunderstorms forecast for later in the day.
Here we go.
Tremendous pre-match entertainment. Play by Lightvold. Now for Thompson. Now Barrett. Craig Smith. And did Harrigan miss something there?
It should have been a penalty to the Dragons, Ray. Roarty held on to the man trying to play the football. It was Mundine. Searches for a gap, throws the dummy, slides through, then has the ball, and he throws the ball away in an attempt to get a pass.
Well, Melbourne have been birthed inside their 20-metre line for so much of this game. Marquette. It was a similar set of incidents, I suppose, against Parramatta. 16-6 down at half-time. And I think most of us had written Melbourne off in that game.
Gee, that's a heavy deficit in defence. 10 extra sets of 6. Even with unlimited interchange, you think it'll play a role. Little one finds some go. Oh! Blacklock!
Nathan Blacklock! Well, his confidence might have been down, but it won't be now. Nathan Blacklock. Ah, the traffic. The traffic was going both ways. And St George Leach Club, how you doing? What's happening?
Good on Nathan Blacklock. He's back into the fullback role. He's copped a bit of criticism. Somebody called him a bumbling player in the paper this week. What a joke that is. Blacklock, one of the true entertainers of the game. He attacks the football. He slides through. Beats 2 defenders. There's nobody in front. 24 tries for the season. And just a joy to watch, Nathan Blacklock.
Wonderful stuff there. It takes courage to do this. Running right through the middle of the bunch of players there. A couple of them coming for him. They missed him completely. And it's all over Red Rover as he puts it under the black dot. Beautiful stuff there from Blacklock. A nice kick there from Crawley, just goes horribly wrong for the Melbourne Storm.
Well, that took tremendous courage.
It did. He backed his own ability, Ray. He's a confident young man. Comes from a little town called Tinga, in the country of New South Wales. Owen Craigie from Newcastle there as well. They produce some exciting young players, don't they? And he can celebrate a try.
So the man they call Forrest Gump is back on for goal kicking. Wayne Bartram from right in front. Converted try for the Dragons. 14-0. The Sydney side's in front. Stephen.
We always need a little bit of luck in a grand final. It was only the bounce of the football. As you said, he attacked the ball. That's a great run and a great confidence booster right under the post. I'm a little bit disappointed with the celebration after the try. I could have done that one, but I couldn't do the somersault.
The kick return is with Craig Smith. 20-metre line. St George Illawarra's end of the ground. Ward. Thompson. We had some email during the week from some viewers up in Japan and reminding us that they are able to watch the final series live up there. We welcome you. I was remiss in not including you the last couple of weeks. Hope you're enjoying it. At the moment, it is Dragons and more Dragons. Robbie Ross. Marcus Bai. Rodney Howe. Time in possession way up for the Dragons over the Storm.
I think the general consensus coming into this game was that's the kind of statistic that needed to favour Melbourne for them to be successful. Give that amount of football to the Dragons, they will be unstoppable. Kamali now trying to engineer something. And Blacklock picks up 20 metres out, confronted by the kicker. The Storm, well, they've got to come up with something in the next 7 minutes.
Yeah, what they can't do, Pete, is let St George Illawarra score again, because then you'd think it would be over. 18 or 20 blot at half time. They have come back before the Melbourne Storm with last week. They're a gutsy team, but at the moment they're just not playing well enough.
Bartram getting under a loose arm, or was it a wayward shoulder? Dragons 41 metres away from their own line for Brown to send his outside backs on a chase down the eastern side. Robbie Ross didn't want to touch it. Ainsko and Ross, former clubmates at Newcastle. You'd never know. Well, he couldn't be deemed as having played at the ball because he was actually pushed into it by one of the opponents. Laurie Daly, with Melbourne feeding the scrum, an opportunity to ask you, as the Canberra captain, Australian captain, what have they got to do, Melbourne, to turn it round?
Well, obviously they've got to complete their sets of 6, but also I'd like to see them change the angle in attack a bit more. The ground's pretty slippery underfoot, and if they can change some angles with their speedy men, they can cause St George a bit of damage.
Marcus Spy. And now it is with Ben Roarty. Kearney. And then the clearing kick from Kamali. And the finding touch.
40-20.
40-20.
Yeah, great kick from Kamali. He's a good exponent of that kick, and he can smell something here on the stroke of half-time to get his team back into it. Precision kick, kept the ball low, and it was inch perfect.
That will bring his team, the loose head and the feed, to the scrum.
Should just explain to those viewers who don't watch rugby league too much, if you kick from inside your own 40 and fine touch inside the 20, you get possession from the scrum win, as Melbourne have done.
There's Robbie Ross, pulled down about 15 away from the line. Nikau on the fly. Swain. Howe had a problem with his handling early in the game. Many have, though. Swain for Kamali. Kamali back on the inside for Marquette. 8 metres out from the Dragons line. Kamali. Kamali back for Matt Geyer. Geyer back now for Tawira Nikau. They're not breaching St George. St George are doing it easily at the moment. Now the kick from Kamali. It's out on the full.
Out on the full.
Lazo, his head goes down.
I think we've got to pay credit as well to the St George Illawarra defence. It's been terrific on that occasion. As the ball goes out on the full, they did change some angles, some inside runners, Marquette in particular. Lazo shaking his head, he didn't like what they did in the end there, but the Dragons defence has been terrific. There's just no way through for the Storm.
So Colin Ward it is. The starting play about 12 metres out from the Dragons line, with Nathan Brown sending Wayne Bartram down the right of the ground. 14-0 St George, 2 converted tries, 1 penalty. Quick hands from the forwards, and like Vol had Blacklock on his outside. It would have been interesting had he have passed. Mundine using Tracy now. Tracy taking a buffeting there from Matt Rua, and Paul Marquette. Timmins is put away. He's been a very good player for the Dragons this year, Sean Timmins, as Mundine rolls it towards the sideline on Robbie Ross, having no part of it.
Clever play there from Anthony Mundine. They're more than happy to go in with a 14-point lead at half-time. Luke Patton's come to the sideline. Steve Roach, any chance of him coming back into this game?
Yeah, there certainly is, Peter. It's a lateral ligament problem to his knee. He's had it restrapped, and there's some chance, if needed, that he'll be back.
Melbourne outside their 30-metre line. They're in the middle of the ground. And Rodney Howe. Kearney. St George Illawarra supporters on very happy terms with themselves. You can feel the volume of the crowd has gone down. They become more contented as this grand final inches its way back towards Cogra. Here's a nice little kick through, and Bowden it is that puts it on the boot again, but Blacklock is there.
Well, you wouldn't believe their luck, would you? Finally, they make a clean breakthrough. The kick, the chase was good as Ainscough. It's hammered by Bowden. Gets up and runs again. Come in to hold him. But Bowden went through on that and towed it through and actually just kicked it straight to the fullback and Blacklock. So no luck at all for the Storm. Here's a mistake.
Wishart offering a chance to Melbourne. Rodney Howe playing it on the 0 tackle. Swain. Kearney. Kearney running straight at Lance Thompson. Thompson pulling him down. To the right they go with Kamali. On the inside for Robbie Ross. And Nikau and Timmins. They eyeball each other off the ball. Kamali's pass for Bowden. Bowden for Matt Geyer. Geyer did well to catch it. McGregor makes the tackle. Martin the dummy half. Kamali with the ball. And he's taken by Brad Mackay. Swain. Through Ross, it's with Kearney now. And back. Well, it was kicked by Melbourne from the hands of a St George player to another. Play on is the correct ruling.
Oh, easy meters there for Darren Tracy up the blind side. They really fell apart on the last tackle there, mainly because their kicker, Brett Kamali, was playing the football. Nothing play again from Melbourne. Nothing going right as St George Illawarra through Lance Thompson take it to the 40-metre line, doing it comfortably.
Last couple of seconds of the first half. And there's the siren. Comprehensively, St George Illawarra, the 99 Grand Final. St George, as a single entity, has won 15 premierships. They are 40 minutes away from Premiership 16. But of course, for the joint venture, it will be number 1. It is 14-0 at the break. Melbourne with all the work to do. 2 converted tries for the Dragons. As we break from Stadium Australia, we'll be back with Ken Sutcliffe, Peter Sterling and Paul Vorton with the highlights from the first half of the Ansett Grand Final. And welcome back to Stadium Australia, hosting today its first Grand Final of Rugby League. And Melbourne very much in arrears here behind the St George Illawarra Dragons. They're down 14 points to nothing at half-time. There's been 2 converted tries and a penalty goal. And most of the experts are saying that Melbourne have got to do something dramatic with the way they're attacking the Dragons if they're going to have any hope. They've played them twice this year, and twice they've come home with victories, both times at Olympic Park. The Dragons won 28-16 in May and then 34-10 during the final series. Weather is holding. There's just been a little bit of rain. Made handling a little bit difficult, but so far so good.
And the work rates for the forwards there. Richie Swain, as always, he always leads the tackle count. Good on him, and Paul Marquette's never far behind him. And the hit up, Stephen Kearney's having a good one, as is Rodney Howe. Whilst for the St George Illawarra team, Wayne Bartram, he's been very good. Darren Tracy and Craig Smith, 13 hit-ups. They have just been sensational, every one of them. He has been their best player on the park, no doubt about it. Craig Smith having a blinder.
Bill Harrigan blowing time on to the second half. He's refereed Melbourne matches 8 times for 4 wins and 4 losses for the Storm. Lazarus with the first hit up and Howe the second. Made a few mistakes in the first half, Rodney Howe. Nick Howe. Kearney got a ball away for Ross. Kamali on for Gaia. Gaia's kick for Martin. Martin leads the race. Puts in a kick across the field. St George can't clean it up. Melbourne is still with it. Oh, high tackle. High tackle on Kamali. Craig Smith is the offender.
Hey, Carney, go away. Yeah, that one's way too high. I'm going to put on report. You got me? You keep him down.
Yeah, it goes on report. Some exciting play there from the Melbourne Storm. Got a penalty right in front of the post, so I would think they'd have to... Well, they're going to have a shot at goal, so at least get them on the board. The ball had been on the ground, and no doubt about it, right around the chops. But that was good stuff, better play there, some adventurous stuff out wide. The kick from Gaia, the chase by Martin, and some support play.
But even the earlier players, well, Paul Kearney going through the line, getting the right arm free, finding Robbie Ross on his outside. That's better stuff. That's what we've seen Melbourne produce throughout the season. Can they do it for the next 38 minutes?
Likevol back to the benches very early. 2 minutes old, second half. Australia and South Australia Grand Final. 14-0 currently to the Dragons, and Craig Smith goes for goal and gets it. 2 points to Melbourne. 14-2, they're on the board.
And it does put them within some kind of striking distance. Now 2 converted tries behind. A little bit of a confidence builder. I look down from our commentary box and see Luke Patton jogging up the sideline. That's a good sign for the Dragons as Bartram gets us underway.
And from the restart, let's go down to the sideline. Steve Roach has been to the sheds. Yes, Stephen?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. I'm going to do the Melbourne Storm. Chris Anderson, he said, let's put a little more to the Dragons in attack. We need options. Stephen Kearney is really needed in that department. He wants more of an effort to put pressure on Barrett. We're giving him too much time. He said to his team, let's be there at the back end of the game. Don't panic. We've showed we can come home. And Chief's been in the rooms with the St George Illawarra side. What did David Wade have to say, Chief?
Yeah, David Wade's very happy in attack. He said he's happy with the building of their sets. Good platform and go forward. And straight into some good set moves and some ad-lib football to put Melbourne in 2 minds. He doesn't want them to protect their lead in the second half. He wants them to start 100 miles an hour. Defensively, again, very happy. He said slide defence is honest. Marker defence is great. He just said how important field possession is in the second half because Melbourne relies so much on their kicking game. Even last week, all of Melbourne's 3 tries came from Brett Kamali kicks.
Okay. Half-time reports there from Paul Harrigan and Steve Roach. They're down on the sidelines watching the grand final with Laurie Daly as Lance Thompson takes it 25 away. There's a problem there for Sean Timmins, the Dragons centre. Very big kick and a long run back there for Robbie Ross. The St George chase, very urgent. They gave him only about 5 metres to work back. Marcus Bai. Rodney Howe now.
We saw Sean Timmins limping off. Chris Likevol also on the bench with a corked bicep as Marquette taken head-on by Craig Fitzgibbon. Put to the ground 35 out. Here's Lazarus taking it forward. Good run, but he drops the football. Cleaned up by Tracy.
Tracy turning it around for the Dragons. Nickau landing one across the face of Darren Tracy. Now Thompson. You would have seen Luke Patton starting to warm up just outside the western touchline. That's good news for the Dragons. Craig Smith now. Oh, Nickau coming in, launching himself at the St George prop forward. Mundine back and across for Blacklock. And Blacklock 22 metres away from the Melbourne line. Mundine, Brown, Bartram. Oh, what athleticism from Matthew Geyer.
Oh, and what a lack of athleticism from Marcus Bai.
Now, St George Illawarra are back on the attack. Blacklock. Bartram hits the line, drifting across the ground. Mundy. Ainsko. Knocked down by Melbourne. 6 more tackles for the Dragons. Craig Smith. Again, Nickau launching himself. Now, they come face to face. Ward. Mundy. Barrett. McGregor. Melbourne struggling to contain the The Dragons attack at the moment. Barrett now, the kick. Blacklock is flying, but Robbie Ross got a touch to it.
Yeah, great little set play there, and they'll get the ball back from the dropout. Nathan Blacklock, he's been terrific at fullback since he's gone back there.
And all of this pressure has come from Marcus Bai knocking on from dummy half. Robbie Ross just arriving, didn't get it with his hands, went off the knee, that was good enough. Back they come, Ward, Ainscough. Smith taking it forward, Ray, sorry. A running caution from the referee to Tuera Nikau as well.
Blacklock again. Having a fine game. Brown. Dummies all over the place. Tracy gets the ball away. Melbourne clean up through Kearney. It is a record crowd, I've been told. Rugby League and stadium record crowd. Swain. Kamali inside for Marquette. Now Ross backing up. Marquette's pass was ordinary. And Lazarus knocks on. So another window opens for the red and whites.
Yeah, too many mistakes by the Storm. They haven't been out of their own half the last 5 minutes because they keep dropping the ball. Very sloppy.
You'll be disappointed, Glenn Lazarus. Nobody feels the pain of a mistake more than the great front row champion. I remember one night at Olympic Park, he gathered the players after the game and said, "Don't blame yourselves, blame me." He had a mistake-riddled game and he basically took it upon himself to shoulder all of the blame. Mind you, he didn't have to do that. He just is one of those people. Ward, Brown, Mundine cutting out Blacklock, finding Bartram. Bartram is taken by the defence of Lazarus and Kearney. Bartram getting up and swinging as he does. Now Blacklock tries to put a kick through. Very embarrassing for a man that's been having a mistake-free game.
He actually knocked on. He missed his boot completely. There's Rodney Howe. Hasn't been particularly effective in this game so far, takes it forward. The good thing for the Storm is that they've survived. They've been scored on as Guy loses the football, cleaned up by the Dragons. And another chance.
Mundine pulled down by Paul Marquette. Thompson with the run from dummy half. There'll be more and more of it from here till the end. 30 minutes to go. Brown 14-2. Colin Ward. Again, the second rowers, Marquette and Kearney, make the tackle. But the Dragons attack again. And Mundine will score. Mundine's over. Mundine's over. Anthony Mundine with a little bit of help from Sean Timmins.
Or has he dropped it? Has he dropped it over the line? He doesn't look very confident.
And he had unmarked people on his outside.
This could be no try. Does he ground it? Had some people unmarked on the outside. That's no try.
Well, I said that the Melbourne Storm had survived, and that's all they are doing at the moment. The last 10 minutes, kind of hard to believe that the opponents haven't got the football over the line. There's the no try signal. They had a little bit of good luck. When Mundine picked it up, he had two unmarked men on his outside. You can't blame him. He was very, very close go himself. Great work again from Craig Smith. He saved a couple of tries in the last few weeks.
Coney! Robbie Ross. Penalty I'd say tackled, not with the ball. No, he's indicating high.
Yeah, while St George Illawarra haven't taken their chances, you've got to think things that might fall into Melbourne's lap here. They start to get some ball deep inside St George Illawarra's half now, and can they put something together?
Swain. Roarty. Chris Anderson rotating his men. Rua and Kearney. Geyer. Gee, they've marked him very, very closely. Robbie Ross. 11 away from the line. Melbourne lifting. Moole taken by McGregor. Danny Williams, a dummy half. Now Kamali back and across and cleaned up by Barrett.
That was the same kick they scored off last week. Richie Swain went on the inside of the Kamali kick. There was no one home for Parramatta. On this occasion, though, Barrett got there for St George Illawarra. They've done their homework. They know what sort of kicks Kamali can come up with and handle it well.
Great anticipation by Trent Barrett. Comes from the Riverina. One of 9 Steelers in the squad of 17.
He's a Tamura boy. Means you wouldn't have to change the colours. They play in the same strip. Rodney Howe takes the ball forward. One bloke I have got to give an enormous rap to is Paul Marquette. He has tackled himself to a standstill in the high 20s as Rua takes it forward. Something building for the Storm. That's a great run. Beaten swing. Still going.
Matt Rua still going. St George player fell off. Roarty desperately looking to get rid of it. Rua. Kearney. There's the offload through the legs of Swain. No knock on for Rua to come into the game again. Kamali. Robbie Ross. Bartram takes him down, ball and all. To the blind for Geyer. And Martin, they appeal for try. Bill Harrigan wants to look at it.
I've got my doubt about this one as well. Referee questioning as to whether it's double movement. A little bit of a doubt on the pass, I've got to say, from Geyer as well, but that won't be ruled upon by the video referee. But what an important decision we have coming. I thought that was forward. Martin now close to the line, reaches out. That's a try.
Well,
it is a try.
It's a try, all right, but I did think the pass from Geyer needed closer scrutiny than, in fact, the double movement. It's a try. Melbourne are coming back.
Yeah,
there you are, Melbourne. You are coming back.
They're coming back all right on the back of some St George Illawarra mistakes. They've held on to the ball for a couple of sets of 6. Harrigan, the referee, wasn't worried about the pass, but that looked like it was forward, no doubt about it. Anyway, it's a try. They're back into it. 14-6, kick to come.
And again, we should point out that that is the one part of the game that the video referee does not rule upon. Does not call forward passes. That is up to the touch judges and the referee. They're happy with it. And if this kick goes over from Craig Smith, all of a sudden we have a completely different ball game on our hands.
(14-6). This will bring them within 6 points and a converted try. There goes the kick. It's away to the right of the uprights. No change. Steve Roach.
I've got to say, St George Illawarra are trying to be too fancy when they're down that end. Here's Guy. Here's the secret. Martin hitting the ball at speed, rushes out of the tackle and scores and puts Melbourne Storm back into the game.
Well, I've got little doubts watching the replay again that the pass from Matt Geyer was forward. It's on the board. That's all that matters. Some of the peacekeeping force from Australia up in Dili are watching on. A knock on from Lazarus. Now St George Illawarra with Timmins. Brad Mackay at acting half. Like Vol back to the short side. Mackay to the right for Smith, and then Mundine, and Mundine for Barrett, and Barrett for Thompson. Blacklock, Craig Smith. McGregor, Barrett across the park, Blacklock, almost getting a shepherd from Anthony Mundine. Mackay, Mundine again, off the left foot, back to the right. Bad pass on the bounce for Bartram. Bartram then for Barrett. The Dragons doing what they do best. And a try for McGregor. Will he give it? He wants another inspection.
Okay, we're looking for Rod Wishart coming off his arm, going forward, and then
what a vital part of the game. The last 10 minutes.
And Harrigan's looking for maybe a knock-on off Rod Wishart as he went up high for the football. He thinks it might have gone forward off Wishart's arm. But they were going nowhere, St George Illawarra. Absolutely nowhere. The Melbourne defence was good. Barrett put the kick in. It's come off Marcus By for mine. And McGregor gets the crumbs.
St George have got no doubt that it's a try.
And I don't think the video referee will have any doubts either. It has come off Marcus By's arm, has not touched Rod Wishart. He was contesting the football, not making a tackle, so that's okay as well. And Paul McGregor, the Dragons captain, was in the right spot at the right time. Put his right arm out.
Yeah, it hasn't gone near Wishart. Missed it completely. So the green light, and they strike back, and once again from a Melbourne mistake on the first tackle.
Well, that's got to be heartbreaking for Melbourne. Glenn Lazarus losing the football just after they clawed their way back into it. No, I'm happy that it's a green light.
So Paul McGregor playing in his first grand final maybe has put the seal on the fate of Melbourne with this try.
Let's just have a look at the players in relation to the kick as well. No drama there at all. Rod Wishart actually did a very good job to take a couple of steps back to make sure that he was behind Trent Barrett. It is a grand final and the decisions have to be right, and that one is.
Chris Ward, video referee, giving McGregor the try, and the St George Leagues club breathing easy again. This was the turnover, and the man that none of us wanted to see go out with a couple of knock-ons, a couple of mishandles. Glenn Lazarus losing the ball, and then it went like this.
Yeah, they got a bit sloppy here for St George Illawarra. Look at the Melbourne line, it's up, it's been good the second half, and then that. The ball's in the air, anything can happen. It's still one of the most lethal weapons in the game, the kick. And just when Melbourne looked like they had a chance to crawl back into the match, got back to an 8-point deficit, the Dragons have made it 12 again.
And just in Glenn Lazarus's defence, the ball did get a jolt out from the shoulder of Darren Tracy, which didn't help. Bartram looking to make it 14.
Bartram from the sideline, just offline. His kicking has been very accurate since he went to that yellow tee. Steve Roach, another look at it.
Yeah, what a reply from the Dragons there. A great understanding between Barrett, Wishart, and also McGregor. Watch the one-handed take. That's very special. He's got good skills, and good to see him get over the line.
Now the Dragons losing it as they bring it away from the kickoff, and Melbourne with another little sniff. But it's 18-6. They're down by 2 converted tries now. Kearney 15 away from the line. Lazarus right up the middle, trying desperately to keep his club in the battle. And has he done it? Yes! It is Roarty! Ben Roarty is over for Melbourne!
Well, it's an amazing game, this rugby league. The match was all over. We see Lazarus make a mistake, the opposition score. This time Rod Wishart loses it. And this time it was the elbow of Danny Williams forcing the ball out. And in the next set of 6, Brett Camorley put on a perfect pass as we freeze it there. You can see the try scorer running into an enormous gap. Straight in behind here, and as play continued, Ben Roarty off the interchange bench, slides through. And it's tit for tat. Just poor reading in defence. Too many players coming in. The pass from Camorley found the right mark.
Well, not only did Williams force the ball loose with his elbow, he provided a great decoy there. He took out 2 or 3 Dragons players and opened up a huge hole for Roarty to get through. So they strike back again. This is better the second half. This is good stuff.
And you'd think Craig Smith would have learnt from his last kick as well. It's from a fairly similar position. He pushed it to his side of the goalposts, and I think he'll make the necessary adjustment.
12 in from touch, 19 out from the eastern side. The Goodyear blimp up in the sky, getting its view of this kick at goal, and he's got it! Melbourne, they live on. 18 to 12. Laurie Daly, take another look at it.
Well, as you can see, Ray, Camorley takes the ball to the line. They drag a defender in. They had players in motion, and that's something that the Storm didn't have going for them in the first half.
And the kick from Craig Smith. An absolute beauty under the pressure that he must have been under. It is 18 to 12. It is one converted try now. Melbourne refusing to lie down in their first ever grand final. Lazarus lifting and extending the big man in front of a new World Rugby record crowd, both Union and League. 107,558. World record rugby crowd for League and Union. It beats the Bledisloe Cup crowd of 107,042. Needless to say, it's a ground record for Stadium Australia. Now from Camorley, this is Geyer. Oh, McGregor picked him up like a bale of wool and threw him on the ground. Now the chase down the ground, not required because Blacklock brings it back. Craig Smith has a problem. 19 to go. The Dragons, Chris Laikval, Rodney Wishart, who made the mistake, to the halfway line. Jamie Ainsko. Bartram. I have never seen Tawiran Nikau play with the intensity or the passion that he's played with today. Robbie Ross from his own in goal gets it back. Patton is back for the Dragons. That is Bowden.
That's a good 3 rucks there from Melbourne. Tough to get out of that corner, but they've done it pretty well. Rodney Howe taken high by Thompson. That's 4 tackles gone. They'll be in reasonable position to kick.
Lazarus hitting it up. Camorley, the little general. Now the chase is on from Melbourne. It's much keener from the Goodyear blimp. A view looking down on Stadium Australia.
Yeah, their players lifted
Blacklock.
Their players lifted by about 50% in the last 10 minutes, courtesy of those couple of tries. And now it's St George Illawarra, who seem to be struggling a bit. They're looking a little bit tired. The Melbourne boys, they're coming home strongly.
It was that 10-minute period, wasn't it, Paul? About 5 or 10 minutes into the second half where St George Illawarra threw everything at them. Mundine dropped the ball over the line. I think if they'd have been scored on then, it was all over. They weren't, and they are still in it. Here's a chance for them. It'll be play on. No. Yes, it is play on. I think it's a Dragons knock on first.
Knock by St George.
Yeah, it's a Melbourne feed.
Knock by St George.
Andrew Farrer, assistant coach of the Dragons.
Yeah, sloppy play here by the Dragons. They couldn't control it, not needed. deep in your own half. There's the knock on there by Luke Patton.
Robbie Ross, inside ball for Aaron Moole. Paul Marquette. The Dragons now under siege. And it's a penalty. Penalty to Melbourne. There's a hand in the play of the ball.
Well, Paul, you skip a day, grand final winning side, you take the 2.
No doubt about it. You'd have to take the 2 right in front. It's a gift 2 points. Let's have a look at the penalty. Hand in there from Nathan Brown, is there? Yep. Harrigan didn't miss that one. 18-14. They get the ball back and they charge in again, looking for the converted try to give them a lead.
Excellent refereeing there from Harrigan. He didn't miss it. He's allowed these 2 teams to play football. Being too pedantic.
Smith. He's got it. Flags are up. Melbourne are inching closer. 64th minute, they are now 4 behind.
I know they had to take the 2 points, but it might have just been some thought to continue on because they had some momentum. 10 out, 6 tackles up their sleeve. The Dragons probably fairly happy that they did. They're down the other end of the field now with Bartram. High kick down to Robbie Ross.
Rodney Howe returning the kick. Marcus Bai. Kamali. They got numbers down the right. Bowden with a great run. Oh, a knock on by Aaron Moole. He's played on. His header came off the boot. Now it's Robbie Ross. From Kamali for Kearney. 4 points the difference. 65-metre gain on 5 tackles. Kamali's kick. Blacklock under pressure. Oh, Craig Smith was all but over.
Oh, try-saving tackle from Darren Tracy. Smith just about took the ball out of Blacklock's hands, but Darren Tracy, enough strength to gather the winger back.
It was a clean contest. They aimed the guns at Blacklock's wing. It nearly worked for Craig Smith and for Brett Kamali. Nickau waits to come back. 13 and a half minutes to go. Leichval, 25 away from his own line. The Dragons protecting a 4-point lead. Barrett kicks and falls over. There's a lot of grass between Melbourne's carrier and the Dragons' defensive men. Marcus Bai down the left of the ground. Still going, player after player, he beats them. Thompson puts him away. Now Marquette, 40-metre line. Dragons in. Melbourne are coming home the better. Howe, Swain, Kamali. Kamali thought he saw a gap to get through. A quick play the ball. This is what Melbourne loves. Bowden, inspirational from the bench. Melbourne with Kamali for Nickau. Nickau strains to get away from the tackle of Bartram. Kamali, the kick is there, the rebound is there for Chris Leichval. What a catch, what a catch.
Oh, what a catch, Richie. Beautiful stuff there from Leichval. He put his hand up, he needs a rest after that one. And they are looking so shaky, the Dragons. And the Storm are coming home. Coming home like beauties.
Ah, this is a classic catch from Chris Leichval.
Can you believe this is the same game of football that we saw after 40 minutes?
Well, it's hard to believe it's the same team, the Melbourne Storm. Whatever Chris Anderson said at half-time, this is play
Touched.
on. Mackay chasing, got it back. But knocked on.
Knocked on, I think by the Dragons.
Oh, gee, that's a tough call against the Dragons.
Yeah, it did look like Robbie Ross knocked it on first. The Storm do have the feed, but whatever Chris Anderson said at half-time, he must be, well, he is a very good coach. He's inspired them because all of a sudden they're running, they're doing all this, the small things quicker, playing the ball, getting up in defence, all that sort of stuff. It's all working for them.
There is none better. In the last 7 years, he's taken teams to the playoffs on 6 occasions, and he is the national coach. He's won grand finals as a player and a coach, both in Australia and in England. Chris Anderson has lifted the Storm. Kearney. Swain took a heavy knock early in the game. Gaia. Kamali. And there they go again. The ball high and beautifully taken by Wishart.
It's called play on. Got the ball away to Luke Patton. So a heap of players stopped there, but the referee said to Wishart he took the ball into the in-goal area. Oh! Good finish to this game.
He leaves the field of play, and Bill Harrigan got it absolutely right. St George Illawarra were thinking it'd be a 20-metre tap. Nickau holding Mundine down as long as he could. Oh, it's gone over the sideline. This could well be a turning point.
Another
or
one?
have we long gone past the turning point?
Oh, we've had 27 of them.
Yeah, the idea was good. It's an air swing. So mistakes creeping into the match.
.35 away now from the line. As Gaia plays the ball, Rodney Howe takes it to the 30-metre line. The crowd now really on their feet. Kearney didn't have to be told the nearest player to him was Robbie Ross. Now Kamali, Nickau taken down by Thompson. 15 from the line, they're 4 behind. Kamali, Howe, Kamali, Marquette. Marquette was sadly lacking somebody with him.
Forward pass.
Now he's found a forward pass, Bill Harrigan.
Kamali to Marquette. So another chance for the Storm goes begging. This ball, no doubt about it. Got the call from the touch judge referee.
Laurie Daly on the sideline. What's been the major reason, in your opinion, for this turnaround for Melbourne?
I think that the Melbourne Storm forwards are running with a bit more gusto in the second half. They're really laying the platform, they're getting up quick, playing the ball, and then Kamali and Gaia and Ross can take advantage of that.
Paul Harrigan, same question.
Pretty well same answer. I just think St George have lacked a little bit of intensity. They started to drop the ball. This Melbourne Storm team are renowned for coming home strong.
Well, I think the Dragons are getting a little tired. I think that we saw how much difference in possession at half-time. That swung around a bit. There's a bit of fatigue there now. Last tackle against them. Barrett needs to get a good one away right down to the try line.
He gets a big kick in, but it's outside the 40 that he put that kick on. Craig Smith back there. And he will be made to play at 5 metres out from his own line. Time in possession. Well, that has swung around dramatically. A huge deficit during the first half is now almost levelled out. Rodney Howe taken down by Fitzgibbon, who had a monster of a first half. Swain, line breaks, 5-1, Melbourne's way. Now Nickau. Steve Roach, I haven't seen him play, as I said earlier, with such passion, such intensity.
I think he's the man that's really lifted him in the second half. He put a bit of guts into his defence there to start off the second half. He knew that they would be a chance. There's a knock on, is there?
No, it came off the knee, Steve.
Yeah, he handled it well, Blacklock. He allowed it to hit. He didn't get his hands anywhere near the football. It was Patton. Just about his first run since coming back into the game, and it's sideways.
I should say, Steve Roach, where he's watching it from with Laurie and Paul, they wouldn't be able to see Blacklock's legs there because of the arc in the ground. Mackay plays the ball just outside the 40-metre line. Craig Smith to the halfway. Melbourne now desperate for the football because there's under 7 to go. Barrett working down the middle. 33-metre gain on the 5th tackle now. Brown. And his kick is high. Equal to anything Kamali has put up. And it's on the ground, and Harrigan has given a penalty to Melbourne.
Offside. Sean Timmins was in front of the kicker.
Yeah, you're off.
So Melbourne penalties 4-1 in their favour now. Line ball, that one. It's the way he saw it though. What price extra time, boys? Good chance, I reckon.
Yeah, there's a chance. I'd still like to be on the Dragons. I still think that there's so much to play for. Hanging on to a lead. They've gussed it out as well in the last couple of weeks, as Melbourne have done.
Prime Minister John Howard is here for the presentation. He is the #1 badge holder for the Dragons. He'll be a very happy man if they can take this scoreline into full time, as Bowden takes it to the 30-metre line. To the right of the ground for Kamali, and it came off St George's feet. It's with Kamali. They didn't plant the ball though, the Dragons. Now Bowden away for Geyer. Geyer puts a kick in behind McGregor and Blacklock. Blacklock with work to do, and he does it well.
That's exciting play from the Storm. They are really playing well now. And there's a chance there for them as well. Kicking game has been very important for the Storm through the whole of the semi-final series. A desperation pass, and then Matt Guy looks up. He sees that Blacklock was racing up. Wonderful work from Blacklock to turn on a sixpence and get back just ahead of Tony Martin.
Five and a quarter minutes. The Dragons by 4 in the NRL Grand Final for Ansett Australia. The line dropouts, they don't come much better in rugby league. Rodney Howe, 32 metres away from the Dragons line. Glenn Lazarus, his 6th Grand Final, looking to win #5. Tawira Nikau, and that is Roarty, who got a try for Melbourne. Swain, Lazarus, Kamali on the inside for Bowden to give it back to Kamali. Kamali goes back and across to Nikau. Nikau then holds away Fitzgibbon, but then succumbs to the tackle of Brown. Kamali again to the 10-metre line. Beautiful tackle. Nikau, though, was there to support, and Nikau will be made to play the ball on 5. They're 2 metres from the line. Kamali puts the kick over and across. There's a try coming. Craig Smith has put it down. Has he put it down legally?
Oh,
was he onside?
Well, hang on.
Did he get it down?
What about the high tackle from Ainscough?
He got absolutely hammered. I don't think he's grounded the football. I think he was onside.
This could be a penalty try.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at the try first. You've done that, yeah? Have you?
Yeah, I don't think he scored. But I think the reason he hasn't scored has been the tackle.
Hang on, go away. Just go away for 1 second. In the process of scoring the try, he was going down. The St George bloke did catch him around the head. Okay. All right, okay. You're having a look at, does this bloke ground the ball? And you have a look at how he's fouled while he's going down to whack this ball down, mate.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
Would he have scored had it not been fouled, all that sort of thing?
Oh, what about that? That intimates that if the video referee believes that he would have scored a try if it hadn't been fouled, it is a penalty try.
Well, Chris Ward, the video referee, becomes the most important player in this match right now. Here we go. He gets the ball first, gets hit around the head and drops the football. What to do? What does the video ref do? Does he award a penalty try?
Well, can you be absolutely certain that Craig Smith would have scored?
Oh, he's taking him round the throat.
Yeah, that's a penalty try.
I think you'll find that Bill Harrigan is about to make one of the biggest calls ever been made in 100 years of rugby league. He has the assistance of a man that he's got great faith in, Chris Ward. We have a high tackle on a player about to score a try.
That is a penalty try.
It might even be an 8-point try.
Yeah, you're right, 8-point try.
Yeah, that's foul in the process of scoring the try, but there is no doubt that Craig Smith caught the football. He's caught the football, he would have scored.
Just let me point out to viewers right across Australia and down through all of our networks around the world, our commentary is not taken by the video referee. That's the way it is here in Australia. I want you to know that we are calling the game, but the video referee is simply getting pictures and he's talking to the man with the whistle. This is the biggest call I think I've ever experienced in rugby league, and I've been calling it for 34 years.
Oh, it's very exciting. It either wins or loses in the game.
It's a penalty try.
He will mark the spot with one of his touch judges. Glenn Lazarus has come back with an excited look on his face.
And Ray, a penalty try, the conversion is out where the try is scored. If it had been an 8-point try, they'd have had a kick in front of the posts. So is he's given the penalty try or the 8-point try?
No, penalty try.
He's given a penalty try, and he will take the kick. He will take the kick from right in front.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yes, he takes the kick from right in front, Peter.
And of course it is the kicker who has just been knocked out.
Well, that won't matter because they've got Matt Geyer, one of the highest point scorers in the game. Andrew Farrer, the assistant coach. Now he's talking to Wainscourt. Let's go there.
No, it's a penalty try, mate. Score the try, get the 6 points.
I think that question from Glenn was, is it an 8-point try or a penalty try?
That's exactly right. Well, this has just been the most... We have had an unbelievable season. We are about to have the most unbelievable end to a season that you could have ever imagined.
So Matt Geyer has got this kick to win. Well, I won't say that. I'll take it back. He's got this kick to put Melbourne in front for the first time at 20 points to 18. I can just imagine what it's like south of the border. We saw a quick glimpse of the crowd down there at their training ground at Olympic Park. They would be rugby league fanatics. They know how important that decision was from Bill Harrigan and his man on the video. They know how important this kick is, and Matt Geyer has kicked it. Matt Geyer has kicked it. The grand final party has come alive in Melbourne.
Well, do the Dragons go for a short kick-off here to try and get the football back? I do apologise in misleading about where the conversion was to be taken from. There's the short one from Brown. I've got it pretty well covered. It is Stephen Kearney.
Well, Kearney had a magnificent first half. But I do think that it has been Tawira Nikau in the second stanza, who's been absolutely brilliant. Marcus Bai with a run that will not be disputed. There is 2 minutes to go in the grand final now.
We've got a blood bin.
I'm going to have a warning on.
Oh, okay. We've got a warning here from Bill Harrigan about wasting time.
Warning on stalling.
Marcus Bai took an eternity to get up and play the football, and I think that's a good move from Bill Harrigan.
Glenn Lazarus is 2 minutes away from being the only player ever to win 3 grand finals with 3 different clubs. Only one other player had that opportunity. It was Phil Sigsworth. He came back with nothing, Phil, apart from the honour of playing in them. Now it is with Kamali. Kamali in the race for the ball with Patton, and it's over the dead ball line.
Well, here they come, St George Illawarra. What have they got left? There's a minute to go, a minute and 10 seconds to go. What have they got? They haven't really produced anything this second half. It's been a great display from the Melbourne Storm. They were down 14-0, weren't they? 14-0. It's been one of the biggest comebacks in rugby league history in a grand final.
Oh, biggest since Lazarus.
Colin Ward taken down by an inspirational tackle from Bowden. And let's not forget Bowden. Both he and Roarty have been absolutely brilliant off the bench. Patton gets a pass away. Roarty is there to take it for Melbourne. The clock is inside 1 minute. The 99 Grand Final, 3/4 of a minute to go. Melbourne on their first tackle. Twain, Lazarus, 22 metres away from the Dragons line. Tawira Nikau. The most historical Grand Final ever has had to be decided by, I repeat, the toughest refereeing decision that I've seen a referee undergo. Now, the trophy is going to Victoria, barring a miracle. Was there a St George player who kicked it, pulled down, not in possession? The hooter has gone. Melbourne have won it. Melbourne have won the Grand Final. A sporting miracle. Melbourne, from 14-0, have won the Grand Final, 20 points to 18. It is an emotional Glenn Lazarus. He retires 5 Grand Finals. He's won 3 of them with 3 different clubs. 2 with Canberra, 2 with Brisbane, 1 with Melbourne, the face of another retiree. And it's Rod Wishart, who is a dejected figure. Look at Lazarus, another one that's retiring. Unfortunately from a losing side, Brad Mackay. Well, it has been a Lazarus performance by the big man today. Mark Coyne also retires today. He wasn't in the Grand Final 17. These are unbelievable pictures. Nobody gave them much of a chance before kickoff. Absolutely fewer gave them any chance at half-time. They trailed 14-0. There's Glenn with his wife and his children, retiring to where it all started, back in the Australian Capital Territory. One of the greatest footballers ever to play the game. Certainly the greatest prop forward that we've seen in the last decade of rugby league. And he's with Steve Roach now. Here's Steve.
Good on you, big buddy. 3 Grand Finals, 3 different winning clubs. How does it feel, mate? How do you feel?
Oh, it's a big pinch for you, son. This is just unbelievable. I mean, 14-0 down at half time. We're looking too good, mate. But oh, look, this was meant to be, mate, for sure. This big fella upstairs, he wanted this to happen. I can just guarantee you that.
You guys have had the ability in the semi-finals to come back. I thought Nikau was inspirational in the second half. Ruhr and Bowden off the bench. They really got you going forward, and then St George Illawarra didn't have any answers.
Well, we went at half time and we just weren't playing wide enough around the rucks, mate. You know, we were just playing into the hands, you know, and we decided we weren't going to die wondering, so we spread the ball around a bit and we've won, mate.
Yeah, a fair few options here in that second half. It was a little bit of a nervous start, a little bit of one-out stuff. You've lost the football a lot of times, but then they couldn't put you away.
No, mate, it's a young side, and that's probably expected, you know, and it's such a big day. But I thought what we did the 2 previous week, we could go out and do that again today, and we're going to be in with one hell of a chance, and we've done it, son.
Enjoy it, mate. Couldn't happen to a better bloke.
Thanks very much, mate.
Steve Roach talking with Glenn Lazarus, the 9 commentary now going around the ground as well. And Robbie Ross is down there with Paul Harrigan, both from Newcastle originally, I think.
Well, Robbie, how does that feel, mate? Tell us.
Oh, it's the best thing in the world. It's the best thing, mate. We're over the moon. I can't believe it. It's fantastic.
Early in the second half, St George Illawarra made a few mistakes. You really capitalised on it?
I think we did. We knew they were going to spill a few balls. We put them under pressure. I think the first half we just went right away from our game plan. Then we come out, and the second rows done a fantastic job.
I was going to say, some of your forwards played superb. Kearney, sensational. Nikau.
Yeah, he certainly did. They were a bit quiet in the first half, and Chris had a chat to them about that, and they certainly won it for us. The forwards were great, and Noddy as well.
Mate, congratulations. Had a great game. Top notch, mate.
Thanks, Trevor.
Well, Marcus By there with Chris Anderson. Anderson winning his 2nd Grand Final as a coach in Australia. He'd already won one in England with Halifax. Lance Thompson being consoled by Mark Coyne, and Nathan Brown feeling very much what all of the St George supporters, the St George Illawarra supporters and teammates are feeling. The grand final they had, and it got away. Laurie Daly is down there. I think he's with Tawera Nikau. What a second half.
Yeah, what a second half by Tawera. Tawera, is this the best feeling you've ever had?
Oh, has to be up there with the best, lots. Fantastic effort from the boys in the second half. You know, we just all dug together and came through in the last couple of minutes.
What did Chris say to the boys at half-time? Because the first half you looked very flat.
Yeah, he just had to get a bit more width and play a bit of footy. First half we didn't play our natural game. Came out in the second half and just blitzed them, mate.
And throughout the telecast, the boys made mention of your aggression out there today. They said that you tended to lift the Storm forwards, especially in that second half.
Yeah, mate, I just took it upon myself. I was a bit frustrated in the first half, but second half just a couple of good shots on, and mate, just so happy to win for the boys, and the club is unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Tawera on a great game, and thanks for joining.
And just thanks to all our supporters down in Melbourne. Thanks to everybody. Thank you very much.
Laurie Daly talking with Tawera Nikau. There might be a chance that we'll get a shot of David Waite. No, it's Mark Coyne with the boys, with Wayne Bartram, getting around, trying to pick them up. Mark Coyne, David Waite doing the same thing. So we will take a break. To our South Australian viewers, we farewell you from a telecast that's gone right across Australia and of course to many parts of the world. The Dragons doing it tough. The first joint venture, they were just so close to winning the grand final. The combination of St George and Illawarra. We will take a break. We'll come back. There'll be more from here. We'll have the presentation with the Prime Minister. But here's a break, and then we're back with more on the grand final day coverage on the wide world of sports.
Welcome back to Stadium Australia. Melbourne are the champions for 1999, taking out the NRL Premiership under amazing circumstances. That's the view from the Goodyear blimp down on Stadium Australia. Huge crowd in here today, well over 107,000. And right now, let's go to blocker Steve Roach.
I've got John Rebo with me. John, second year in the Premiership. At half time, you would have been thinking you couldn't get home.
Like, yeah, it was a tough first half, but again, they dug deep at half time. The coach said, hey, we're not out of this. And the players said we're not out of it. And we said, let's go back and play the football everyone knows us we can play. And we went out there and we gave it our best shot. So, geez, we showed some character. I'm just so happy and so honoured to be involved with these guys. To do this in 2 years, it comes back to your coach, it comes back to your people, your coaching staff, your players. They're champions, so well done.
Yeah, unbelievable, mate. If Mundoon gets that try, they really go on with it, don't they, St George Illawarra? You got a penalty after that and you scored in that next set. Then did you start to think you could get it?
Look, I think they came in second half. They thought they'd get a few quick tries. They're going to roll over the top of us, which is a fair comment. But we knew we got some tries and we could put some pressure back on them, so we did that. Grand
final makes heroes. Tawera Nikau, I thought was absolutely outstanding. Young Rua and Bowden, I thought they were just great.
They came on, they had something to prove, didn't they? They raised that extra level, and that's what this game's all about, especially grand final. Champions stand up and be counted.
Well, Jono, you can put your feet up till next year, mate. Congratulations, good on you.
Thank you, thanks tonight.
Nicely done, blocker. The Geyer brothers there celebrating. Both now have been in premiership winning teams. Brother, of course, Mark with Penrith. Now Melbourne. Fantastic event. And this is Lazo. He said he'd try and do the cartwheel. That's amazing effort for a big fella. They came back like Lazarus and then they all followed suit. Right now, for the official presentation, here is Ray Warren.
Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, thank you for coming. Secondly, thank you for staying to spend this marvellous moment with the 1999 champions, the Melbourne Storm. And also to you people, congratulations on being part of a rugby union and rugby league world record crowd of 107,558 people. That is just a marvellous effort. And Stadium Australia can feel proud of the way they've handled it, I'm sure. It was their first grand final and the last grand final of the millennium, and it's been won through a fairy tale story, I'm sure you'd agree. On the presentation dais, I have with me the Prime Minister of Australia, Mr. John Howard, Neil Whittaker, the National Rugby League Chief Executive Officer, and Craig Wallace, the Executive General Manager, Commercial Planning, Ansett Australia, who have been wonderful sponsors of the final series to what has been, in my estimation, the best season of rugby league that I have seen in some 34 years of broadcasting. So to the players, by way of acclamation, players from all clubs, can we say to them, thank you, because you gave us a great season. You really did. Some very talented players have won the Clive Churchill Medal. The little master, he was one of the greats. He is an immortal, and of course we symbolise the memories of that champion little South Sydney fullback when we award the Clive Churchill Medal every year. Neil Whittaker, the CEO of the NRL, will present the trophy, the Clive Churchill Trophy, that he's asked me to make that announcement today. And that winner is the Melbourne number 7, Brett Kimmorley.
First of all, thanks St George. It was certainly a great grand final. They really had us on the ropes for 60 minutes. But to our boys, mate, we're all about guts. We hung in there. We've been hanging in there for the last 2 years. People write us off. It's just a dream come true. Thank all the fans for making this a record day. And all the Melbourne supporters, we'll see us when we get home.
Churchill medalist Brett Kimmorley. Now can I introduce you to Craig Wallace, the Executive General Manager of Commercial Planning from Ansett. Craig.
Thanks very much, Ray. And on behalf of all of the team at Ansett Australia, I would like to say that we're delighted to continue our long association with Rugby League through the Ansett Australia NRL Final Series. To St George Illawarra, I know you're hurting, but you should be proud of what you've achieved this year. And to Melbourne Storm, this is really a dream come true. Congratulations.
Thank you, Craig. Now let's call up, and this is going to be tough, I know, Paul McGregor, captain of St George Illawarra, to respond and to come forward to the presentation dais. Paul McGregor, the captain of the Dragons.
First of all, I'd just like to congratulate Melbourne on a great comeback. The game's about 2 hours and we stopped at half time, so congratulations to the boys there. To our blokes, you know, it's been a great 12 months and it's a shame to finish on a day, but there has to be one winners, and we'll be back next year, and I'm really proud of the effort of the 3 coaches, all the players and all the supporters out there that have stuck with us right through the last 12 months, and we'll be back next year. All our sponsors, the game wouldn't be today what it is without them, so thank you very much there, and see you all next year.
Paul McGregor, and commiserations of course to the Dragons, the one that they had and it got away, but that's rugby league. Well, following Paul, of course, it gives me a chance to introduce the winning captain, a man who today played in his 6th grand final. He's won 5 after today, and he becomes the only player in rugby league history to have won grand finals playing with 3 different clubs, Canberra 2, Brisbane 2, and now Melbourne 1. Would you welcome one of the rugby league champions, Glenn Lazarus.
Oh, wow. This is just unbelievable. Just before I go, I just want to send a big cheerio to... They tell us that we're all pretty brave coming around here and playing this game, but for the brave soldiers over in East Timor, I'd just like to send them a big cheerio, and I hope you all come back very safely. We're praying and we're thinking of you guys, so let's make sure you come back safely. They say that winning grand finals, it takes a club effort, and that's so very, very true. There was only 17 guys that could take the field today, but there was also a number of players that through injury or through just not being chosen, the 17 weren't able to play today. In particular, two guys that would have dead set would have been in the side, Robbie Kearns and Scotty Hill. I know how you're feeling, guys. You just don't feel a part of it, but the players that did play certainly feel as though you're a part of this victorious club. It's my last game of rugby league forever, and I just want to thank a few people that probably moulded me into the footballer I am today. 4 men. When I first started playing rep football, Jack Gibson was my State of Origin coach, and he taught me some great values in life along the way. Bob Fulton, my Australian coach, we had some wonderful times together, and I was just very, very proud to be coached by probably the best rugby league player this country's ever seen. And of course Wayne Bennett, who's up in Brisbane. I know he's watching, and I had a word to him yesterday, and I just feel so very, very privileged just to have been a part of the guy's life for 6 seasons up there at the Broncos. And of course Tim Sheens, when it all started at Canberra. But the one person that I owe everything to, the person that inspired me to what I am today, my wife Tess, my 3 lovely children. I love you. Thank you very much.
Don't leave without the trophy, big fella. Our Prime Minister and Craig Wallace presenting the trophy to the brick with eyes. Glenn Lazarus tired, but he gets it there. It's a 9.9 from all judges. Well done, Glenn. Can we bring up the Melbourne Storm players? I think he wants to say some more.
I got a bit emotional there, but I just want to pay special tribute to our supporters. Look, you guys, you're just an amazing bunch of people to come all the way up here to Sydney, bus load after bus load, game after game. And let's make sure we all get back to Melbourne, because we're going to have one hell of a party, I can tell you now.
Good on you, Lazo. Melbourne Storm players, would you come up and individually receive your grand final rings from the dignitaries here on the presentation dais. Here they come, give them a big Sydney ovation. 2nd year in rugby league. I don't think too many of us thought that ever the trophy would go south of the border, but these magnificent men have done that. Tremendous effort, Tony Martin and Matt Geyer and Danny Williams and Ben Roarty, Russell Bowden and Stephen Kearney, Tawira Nicow, the Churchill medalists Brett Camorley and Rodney Howe and Robbie Ross, Craig Smith, Marcus Bai and Aaron Moole. And some of these blokes look hell of a lot different than they did when I was calling the game a few minutes ago. Fantastic stuff. There's young Matt Rua there. Played for the Kiwis this year, so what a year it's been for him. His first national jumper and a grand final in the 1 year. Paul Marquette was just absolutely brilliant.
Terrific emotional moments here at Stadium Australia, and the fact is that in as far as sport is concerned, Melbourne lead. They've got the AFL, basketball, soccer, and now the NRL, all national trophies. We'll be back with more right after the break.
He hits it, he's got